today I am going to tell you the retelling of the sixth chapter. Well, as you remember, previously we were talking about the um, success of Chris Landon and Robert Oppenheimer, and also tried to understand how does their family feedback contribute to their success, because one of them has become the successful person, none of them not. The other one hasn't. The next chapter, The Three Lessons of Geoff Flom, we were trying to, the author was trying to explain how the fact that he was a Jewish immigrant influenced his success. And in this chapter, we will look profoundly how does actually ethnic theory, legacy, culture, or again generation influence our success, influence our character. Well, first of all, we will look at one experiment which was conducted by two psychologists from University of Michigan, Doug Cohen and Richard Nesbitt. So they actually conducted this experiment in early 1990, where they gathered the group of people, young men from the 18 to 20 years old, and they divided them into two groups. The purpose of the experiment was, so they actually had to answer the question in their questionnaire and then drop it to the end of the hallway. But there was a trick, that the hallway was very narrow, and the Confederate had made it even narrower in order to make it harder to squeeze through the hallway. And he, at the moment when they were trying to go through the hallway, the Confederate said one very bad word, and they wanted to know their reaction to that bad word. So the first group, they perceived it as a joke. There weren't any trouble with the first group, but the second one, the level of cortisol and testosterone got so higher, which means that they were a little bit aggressive at the moment when they were named such a bad word. But what actually differentiate the first group from the other one? The men from the first group, they were from the north part of America. The second part of the group was from the south part of America. And the forebears of the south group lived in Harlan County, where in the early 19th century the rate of murders and violation was so high, taking in view the fact that there was only 15,000 people, and for the last 40 years there were about 1,000 murderers, which is very high. But what actually the cause, what the reason, why the first group differentiates from the other one, why their forebears so aggressive, and why did they do kind of a violation and kill one another? There was very real story in Harlan County in USA, in Cumberland Plateau, where two families, Howard and Howard and Turner's, it was a very big clash between them and a lot of conflicts. They conflicted due to very trivia. One time they conflicted about the game of poker because they can accused one another in cheating, and after that after they had the game of poker, they started to kill one another. And this kind of cheating ended with the fact that they killed for about 20 people from each family. But what actually they tried to show, what they tried to prove, at that moment, at that time, and because of their situation, they had been trying to show their self-worth and reputation. They didn't want to kill one another because they tried to violate the women or they tried to steal the property. No, it wasn't a problem actually. But the problem of Harlan County and the problem of the other aggressive counties was considered the culture of honor. It means when nations had been trying to show their reputation via murders. But why actually they did it? Because they lived in a rocky land, because there were a lot of mountains and infertile land, they had to adapt, they had to survive, and therefore they were a herdsman. They had a lot of animals in order to live. But that time it was a little bit harder to keep their animals safe. It wasn't a crop. It wasn't a wally when the person who tried to steal something, he had to gather the whole crop. No, it was an animal, and it is very easy to steal. And in addition to that, it is very hard always to keep their animals safe and always look at them all the time. Therefore, people at that time, they tried to show their reputation via aggression, via murders, on purpose, intentionally to show the other ones that they had the courage, that they had the power to protect each other, and they tried to awe the other people. And this kind of feature, this kind of culture of honor was laid down in the genes of the modern people, because generation resemblance the generation and so on and so on, it has been repeating all the time. That is why the group of this second group at Michigan University, the second group of the experiment, that is why they differentiated from the first one. And here is a very interesting thing which author tried to explain. The all generation, the all family backgrounds has their disadvantages and advantages. For instance, the disadvantage of the second group, the aggression, and because their forebears were very aggressive, or some advantages. And what we have to do in order to achieve our success is that we have to find these disadvantages and advantages and apply them into our real life. First of all, we had to find them, understand them, make it clear for us what is important and what is not. And after that, find the solutions to struggle with our disadvantages and find the application to use our advantages. Well, thank you for your attention, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and see you in our next video.